Oh God, right, something's going on with... Oh, it's okay. It's okay. I thought the car wasn't going to start then. Needs a new battery in the remote control, and I had to open it on the key and the alarm went off and... Oh, doings. Right then, darlings. This is going to be quite an interesting one. Just bear with me a few seconds to get a bit of screen clearing going on. Talk amongst yourselves. Do not touch that knob. Normal service will be resumed. Right. Can you see what you're doing? Kind of, I suppose. Okay. Let's nip that off. We should be okay. Right, your vision is just going to be rubbish, I'm afraid. That's the time of year for you. Right, welcome to today's daily diary, and I bring news. Now, don't get your hopes up. It's not good news. Hello, Yvette. Hello, Crabbers. Darling Netty. Yeah, it's not good news, but at least we know exactly where we stand now. So, to bring you up to speed, if you've not been following this story, about a month ago, I got a letter telling me that the cottage I've rented for the last 11 years is being sold, and I will need to obviously vacate the premises. That came as a blow, particularly as, looking around on the private rental market, because I rent privately, a series of life choices, entirely my own, nobody else is to blame, means that I find myself in middle age, possibly late middle age. I don't know what qualifies as late middle age. I'm 54. I'll be turning 55 next month. I suppose that's late middle age, isn't it? Bloody hell. What a sobering thought. Yeah, I'm in a position where I'm kind of on my uppers. I have no savings. I live day to day, hand to mouth, and there's a bit of debt knocking around as well. Not blaming anybody else for that. You know, you make your bed, you lie in it. And because of all of that, I can't afford to rent anywhere else. I've been underpaying for where I am, and even the cost of a very modest one-bedroom flat is, quite honestly, at this moment in time, beyond me. So the reality of the situation was that I was going to be facing homelessness, and still might be. However, I am the proud owner of a 1989 Talbot Express Highwayman motorhome called Netty, who I adore. So with the help of my friends, my YouTube community, who are my friends, we started trying to get a plan together. I was just falling apart, but with their help we started to get a plan together, and it was kind of a staged thing. So the absolute basic to cover ourselves, well, to cover me, was to get Netty through an MOT and to make her off-grid ready, self-sufficient. So for that we needed to fit her with a heater, and we needed to get her through an MOT. Now, and the worst case scenario would be that I would be living in Netty while camping off-grid. Okay? So that was the first thing that we were planning for. Now, if things went well, the next thing was to get a seasonal pitch so that I would be living in Netty on a seasonal pitch with facilities rather than just off-grid God knows where. So at least I'd have facilities, I'd have security, I wouldn't be wondering where on earth I was going to spend each night. So that was the next thing that we would aspire to. And after that, the next thing we would aspire to would be to get a caravan that was a lot bigger than Netty, have the caravan on the seasonal pitch, live in that, but obviously on a seasonal you're not allowed to be there all the time, so when I couldn't be there I would be in Netty elsewhere. So that's what we've been working towards, and we've not been entirely unsuccessful. We have secured a seasonal pitch at a beautiful site that we will be driving past actually very soon. Now there is the small matter of paying for it, because that hasn't happened yet, but hopefully it will tomorrow, in fact, or today when you're watching this video. Tomorrow for me as I record this video. The caravan, that's for the future possibly, but Netty, getting Netty off-grid ready, thanks to Chef Daniel, an amazing supporter of the channel, long-term viewer, now friend, you know, in-person friend, proper friend. We got drunk together. We got drunk together on very expensive wine, and it was fabulous. He fitted a diesel heater to Netty, which is it's incredibly kind of him, and that is now fitted and working beautifully. So, box ticked. MOT, that has been a different story, and I will quickly tell you the story of the MOT. We put Netty in for MOT. She failed. I was triumphant because it was a fairly minor series of failures, rather than the disaster that I was dreading. So, really good news. Took Netty to my mechanic, who I trust, who has done excellent jobs on my other cars. He's fairly new. I've only been using him for a month or two, but he's worked on all of my other cars. Never been a problem. The work has been done promptly, properly, and at a reasonable price for a professional expert mechanic. However, there have been problems with Netty that I haven't understood until now. So he seemed reluctant with Netty. So I gave Netty to him after failing the MOT, and he's got a list of jobs to do on her, which should have been done within 2 weeks, so she got a free retest. Problem number one, he didn't get them done within 2 weeks, which is unlike him. All of the other jobs were done in 24 hours. This didn't get done in 2 weeks. So I missed the free retest, and when the jobs were done, I had to pay for a whole new test. And she failed the test. So the work, right, watch the videos. It's a long story. I'm not going to go into all of the ins and outs. But she failed. And then the work was done again. She went for another test yesterday and she failed that. So 3 failed MOT tests, and something just hasn't seemed right. She's failed on the handbrake each time, and the handbrake has hardly been touched. The other jobs were done quickly and not as thoroughly as he normally would, and she's kept failing. And today I got to the bottom of it. So there have been a lot of comments regarding the mechanic, and they're perfectly understandable. They're perfectly understandable. So I'm going to explain what the situation is, because now it all makes sense. And I feel bad discussing somebody else's personal business, but I'm not naming any names or businesses. So sadly, the mechanic has a terminal lung condition. As a result of that, now he's of an age, he's carrying on working, fair play, got a good work ethic, quite possibly needs the money to survive, as we all do. So he's still working, but he works in a heated workshop. Now, Netty won't fit into that workshop, and that means that any jobs that he does or has done on Netty have to be done outside. It's winter. There has been snow, there has been rain, there has been cold air. He doesn't want to work outside because he lives in fear of picking up a virus or an infection, which, given his condition, well, I need hardly go into details, but when you have that condition, obviously anything that you pick up which affects the lungs could have disastrous results. And I don't need to go any further, do I? I don't need to hammer the point home. I'm sure you all understand. So I've been down to the mechanic today. That's the situation. I said, look, we've got this other failure, what are we going to do? And bless him, he didn't say, I can't do it, I don't want to do it, I'm frightened to do it. He said, let's have a look at the weather and see if there's a little gap in the weather somewhere where it's not going to be raining and the temperatures aren't going to be too low. And that's when we got into it, the fact that he can't risk working outside. Completely understandable as far as I'm concerned. So that was it, end of story. There's no question that I would insist that he carried on and did the work. Of course not. Of course not. So that was kind of that. I just said, you know, don't worry, we'll find somewhere else. He said, look, if it was summer, it wouldn't be a problem. If I could get her inside, it wouldn't be a problem. And he's a damn good mechanic. He's the mechanic that other garages send the work to when they can't do it. So it made no sense that he was arsing about doing a job quickly or kind of not doing it at all, sending me off to MOT when he hadn't touched the handbrake again. Well, now I know why. Now I know why. So, yeah. Yeah, he said, if it was summer, no problem. If I could get her inside, no problem. But I can't risk working outside. So, fine, that's that, job done. Now, I know that a lot of you will be saying he should refund you the money. I didn't ask for it, and I'm not going to ask for it. It wasn't a huge amount of money, and he did grovel around outside making the handbrake better. He did his level best, and he has fixed other things. So as far as I'm concerned, he's earned the money that he's been paid, and I did not and will not ask for it back. Okay? And you can have your own opinion, but you know, that's my decision, and I would not sleep well at night if I tried to have an argument and get that money back off him. I don't think it would be an argument. I think if I asked, he would just hand it over. I'm not going to ask. I didn't ask. So that's it. End of story. We wish him all the best, and I'll still be using him as long as he keeps going. I'll still use him, but for the cars that can go inside, because he's done a bang-on job with all of my cars, and it's been done super quick, super efficient, very well, and for a very fair price. So I trust him, 100% trust him, and I will continue to use him but obviously not for Netty. Well, not in the winter anyway. So there you go. I hope that explains that situation. And again, I apologise that you're not getting much of a bloody view out of the windscreen. This is a podcast really, isn't it, with a blurry picture. So where does that leave us? Well, we have got a Netty with a failed MOT. Now, it's not failed badly. Well, we've got 3 failed MOTs technically, but we'll talk about the most recent one. So, Netty has failed the MOT on the handbrake, which is seized on one side. It's the side where the adjuster is missing and it has been previously codged. Thanks to a lovely viewer, Dan Fango, I have some new handbrake adjusters that were sourced from coastal motorhomes. When I tried to source them, they were out of stock, but he got on the case and he ordered some the moment that they came back into stock, which is incredibly kind. Thank you very much. I have those now. So the handbrake, so it's failed on the handbrake, seized on that side, so obviously not operating on that side, so that's a failure, and also failed on brake imbalance, which is down to that issue. So it's a single issue, it's 3 failures. The other 2 failures are the headlamps, and it's headlamp aim on both of them. One's pointing at the sky, one's pointing at the ground. This is after they were secured in a rush outside by the mechanic, because one of them had previously failed on being insecure. Well, it's now secure, but they're pointing in the wrong directions basically, and those were our MOT failures. Not the end of the world, you might well think, and it shouldn't be the end of the world. It feels like it, because I've been arsing about with Netty for a month now, and I've lost 3 days of work time. I've paid for 3 MOT certificates. Well, I've paid for 3 MOT tests and failure certificates. Oh, bloody hell. I've paid for bus fare, taxi fare. I've stood out in the freezing cold, but then I haven't got a terminal lung condition as far as I know, so I've got nothing to complain about there. So that is the current situation. Now, obviously, I would like Netty to have an MOT, because unless she's got an MOT, I cannot live in her, either wild camping off grid or on the seasonal pitch. A lot of people have been saying go to an MOT test so you can drive there legally. On the way back, take the motorhome to the seasonal pitch, park it up, sawn it, job done. No, not job done. The motorhome has to be road legal, fully road legal, to be on the seasonal pitch, and they check. They do check. So that's not an option. She needs to be MOT'd, otherwise I can't live in her, and that means that I'm going to be homeless and on the street. And I don't fancy that, quite honestly. I used to be a man of some refinement. I know that when you take soup, you spoon away from you. I have a linen napkin with every meal, and I'm going to look a bit incongruous spooning soup the correct way and having a linen napkin while I'm living in a cardboard box in a shop doorway. So I don't fancy that. I fancy my motorhome being MOT'd. Netty's beautiful. Most of you watching this will know how beautiful Netty is and how much I adore her. Now then, darlings, if you're new to the channel, if this is your first video, this place here is where we have a seasonal pitch, and it's a fantastic site and it's a lovely pitch. So greetings, seasonal pitch. Right, what was I banging on about? Yeah, so I need to get an MOT. And ideally, it would be nice to get the work done while the free retest window is still open. Because God knows I've already spent 120 quid on MOT tests. I'd prefer not to have to spend any more, if at all possible. Oops. Breathe in. Excuse me a moment. A bit of nasal attention. Apologies for that audible nose blowing pop. So that is the situation. We need an MOT now. So my mechanic isn't going to be doing the work. The MOT station that tested Netty the first twice, they won't do the work. The MOT test station that tested Netty most recently, as in yesterday, they won't do the work. Yes, a lot of people will comment that that would be the ideal thing to do. I agree. It was my first thought. I tried. They won't do it. My local garage that I've used in the past, they won't do it. Well, can't do it. Too busy. They're booked out forever. Now, the mechanic tried everybody that he could think of, and he couldn't find anybody. He's a lovely chap. He did his best to help. The problem is either people are too busy, or they can't get Netty in their workshop, because Netty is a motorhome. She's a small motorhome. She's an elderly motorhome, but she is a motorhome, and most places aren't going to be able to fit her in. So, no joy anywhere thus far. Now, Melanie Panini, bless her, my friend who's a girl, this afternoon when I told her what was going on, she dropped the sausage rolls that she was making and scampered as quickly as her lovely legs would carry her down to her local garage to see if they would help. And same old story, they had the time but not the place. They couldn't fit her in. Now, Melanine is a damn good egg, so she hasn't given up. She's going to be trying more places tomorrow morning, and she's going to go back to her local place and say, look, do you know anybody anywhere who can do this work? But amazingly, yeah, they are small jobs, relatively speaking. They should be quite easily doable jobs, but I can't find anybody to do them as yet. I don't know of any mobile mechanics, and as I say, we've just come to a brick wall with everybody that we've tried. Myself, Melanini, the mechanic. So there you go, that is the situation. We desperately need, or I desperately need, somebody to do this work on my motorhome. So this video is kind of a plea. If you are someone who could do this work and you are within reach of my area, which is Chesterfield in Derbyshire, please, please, please give me a shout. Give me a shout. Or if you know anybody, give me a shout. They would need to either be willing to work on Netty outside, or have premises that are capable of fitting her in, or they'd need to be mobile and not mind working outside and come to me. Ideally, they would need to be able to do the work next week, some point next week, so that I can get Netty back for the free retest. And obviously they would need to be capable of doing the work. So I remind you, the handbrake needs sorting. I have the new adjusters, which are a missing part on one side. I have brand new ones, so I don't know what needs doing to the handbrake. I suppose it needs taking apart, putting back together, with the new parts being adjusted. I'm not a mechanic, and the headlamps need sorting. I don't know what that involves. Maybe you do. So anybody who is capable of and willing to do this, I will gladly pay you, you know, your reasonable fee. I shan't quibble. And if you're a professional business and you get this done next week, then my God, will I make sure that you get all the publicity that I can manage to get you. And if it brings you in a bit more business, then I would be absolutely delighted. But yeah, I will plaster you all over the YouTube channel. I'll plaster you all over my social media, in my social media groups, on the pages, everywhere. And you will have my gratitude for saving my home. So that's what this video is, really. That is the shout out. Please, is there anybody out there who can help? And that's it. That's really all there is to say about it. It's kind of a mad situation, because I'm getting comments on today's video that went up an hour or so ago, and people are saying, well, come on, what are you being miserable about? That's almost a bloody pass. And yes, it is, but I can't. And people are saying, you know, just a couple of little jobs to be done, free retest, boom, Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. Yes, you should be grateful there's no welding. No, there is no welding. It was all done for the last MOT and done very properly indeed. And you're correct, but I haven't got anybody to do this fix. And bizarrely, I can't find anybody as yet to do this fix. So please, can you help? Or do you know anybody who can help? Excuse me, this is important. Greetings, Honourable Bridge. There we go. So, yeah, now, as I say, the fabulous Melanie Panini, my friend who's a girl, she's going to be on the case tomorrow morning, bless her. She's a tenacious little so-and-so. And obviously, I'll be on the case as well. I mean, all I can really think to do is to go through the phone book. Well, phone books don't exist, do they, anymore? But, you know, go through the internet and just ring every garage by garage, and say, hello, I've got a large, small motorhome, needs the brakes and headlights doing. Can you do it next week, please? And yeah, I'm just gonna have to do that. And of course I will do that. Of course I will do that. You know, it's important that this gets done. Again, let me just stress, yes, I adore Netty. So, you know, on that basis and that basis alone, I want it to be fixed. I want it to be usable. However, and this is important, Netty is not just a motorhome, she's going to be my actual home. So without Netty, I'm homeless. That's kind of important. So if you think that I'm a drama queen or being overly dramatic about this, then you're probably right. But I've been stressing about this now for 3 or 4 weeks, and Netty is the difference between me being fairly comfortable and me being homeless and on the street. So perhaps you'll understand why I'm a little overly dramatic, if you will. So yeah. Oh, and the other thing is that if I do just randomly go through phone numbers, which I will do, of course you're dealing with unknown quantities, and I could end up in the situation somebody does their best, Or maybe somebody doesn't do their best. Maybe somebody just does a bod's job, takes the money and scarpers, hodge it, bodge it and leg it. And then I'm back in the situation of going for another retest, failing a retest, and being in the situation of still having no MOT, having shelled out more money, having to get the work done again. A known quantity, a recommendation would be better, or somebody who's willing to, if you're a garage or a mechanic, somebody who's confident enough in their own ability in front of a fair few thousand people watching on YouTube, step up and say, I'll do it and I will get it through the MOT. And that would take a bit of confidence, because if you don't do it, there's going to be a few thousand people saying, well, I won't be using this guy. But if you do it, I'll make sure you get all the bloody publicity in the world. And lots of people will say, this guy's a hero, this is the guy that saved Netty. I will take my Netty to him, and you'll have loads of business, and you can take your missus on a Caribbean holiday, or Caribbean holiday, depending on which pronunciation you prefer. Right, I'm going to shut up and leave it there, darlings. I hope this explains why there have been shenanigans. It's clear to me now. I hope it's clear to you. And I hope the situation is clear of what we need going forward. And the last thing to say is that any help from anybody in terms of offering to do it, not free, in return for proper payment, or any recommendations that lead to it getting done, I would be exceedingly grateful for. Right then, thank you for watching, or more likely just listening, because you've not had much of a picture. I apologise for it being winter and the weather being pants. And I look forward to seeing you next time, possibly with some updates on the situation. I don't think there's anything I've forgotten to tell you. So, there we go. Thank you for watching. Look forward to seeing you next time. In the meantime, all the love from me, all the love in the world from me. And on that note, toodle, and indeed, pip. See you tomorrow, darlings. Bye-bye.
Christmas time is here, by golly. YouTube channel's not any good, but he's a nice guy. I'm sorry, Mr. Boaty.
Oh. You had me at YouTube videos. Let's go, Boaty.
Boaty's such a great guy, such a great guy, very tall. Such a great guy. I wish Boaty was here in America with me right now.
You twat. Wanker.